prepare, respond, serve. This is the 5 Stone Podcast, where the 5 Stone Pro staff brings you years of real-world professional experience from the front line. Let's do this. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Eric with 5 Stone. This is another 5 Stone Podcast, and today we're featuring a very good friend of mine, a brother of mine, Mr. Brent Lile. What's going on, man? Oh, it's going good. So this is a podcast to actually kind of raise awareness for an organization that we strongly support called the Kentucky Brotherhood Ride. The Kentucky Brotherhood Ride is been around for how many years now? How long have they been doing it?
This will be our fourth year.
Yeah. It's an amazing organization that does just amazing things for the families of fallen first responders in our state and in actually different states across the country. So, Brent, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the Brotherhood Ride, man?
My name is Brent Lile. I've been a firefighter for almost 20 years here, and I work full-time for the city of Campbellsville Fire Department. Volunteered there for a number of years before I went career. And, and been riding my bike for quite some time. You know, it was kind of my freedom as a kid to run around town, do what I wanted to do. And you know, when I got hooked up with the Kentucky Brotherhood Ride, you know, this was post a line of duty death that we had here. Our captain, Tony Grider, and we'll get into that here as we go on. But cycling bridged, you know, two things that I was passionate about, you know, cycling and the fire service, and the Brotherhood Ride put those two together for me. So
that's awesome. So you said the Brotherhood Ride was founded about 4 years ago. How did it all get started?
Yeah, so the Brotherhood Ride concept is not, you know, wasn't coined here in Kentucky. The Kentucky Brotherhood Ride is one of 6 Brotherhood rides across the United States.
Okay.
It started in 2008, and it was in the year anniversary of the Charleston 9, which happened June 18th, 2007, where Charleston Fire Department in South Carolina lost 9 firefighters in the Sofa Superstore fire. So there's a group of individuals around Naples, Florida, that had a passion for cycling, and obviously the fire service, and they rode their bicycles from Naples, Florida to Charleston, South Carolina.
That's crazy.
To honor those 9 on the year anniversary of that.
Wow.
And that's you know, progressed into, you know, Florida. You know, obviously the Brotherhood Ride is what you're going to see. That is, if you were researching it, because obviously it was the first one
in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like I said, they've had a ride every year after that, and then there's the Carolinas, which services South and North Carolina, obviously the New England states, the Gulf Coast Ride, which is Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana, and there's the Texas Brotherhood Ride, and then obviously us. We partner with all those. New England is the only ride that has not been represented on the Kentucky Brotherhood Ride, and we hope to get that in the future. But it's really neat to have brothers from other states. You know, it's really cool to see a widow that's lost her husband. Her facial expression when some dude from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, took a vacation from his real job, left his family, drove a couple 100 miles up here to ride a bicycle through the hills in Kentucky. And if you know anything about Louisiana, there is no hills. So so you know, it's and that's the vein we're trying to stay in, you know, throughout the entire ride.
That's awesome, man. That is cool. How many riders are you going to have? How many riders did it start with, and then how many you going to have this year?
I didn't get to ride the first ride in 2019. I was a little late to the game finding out about them. Found out about 2 weeks before it actually happened. So I didn't get to ride, but you know, that was flying by the seat of our pants the first 2 years, 2019 and then in 2020. You know, that was just kind of getting us off the ground, figuring out what we needed to do. You know, we're supported by a large group of support staff, and they, you know, you've heard the expression, they keep the wheels on the bus. Well, they keep the wheels on the bikes. You know, we have bike mechanics, we have, you know, medical personnel, we have folks that keep us hydrated, that just monitor our conditions, you know, whatever we need. You know, they make sure we're comfortable. They wash our kits at night, and they make sure they're the last ones to go to sleep, you know. So they keep us moving forward, and you know, they fill up our water bottles. They make sure everything that we need that we're taking care of.
I remember the first time that I went up there, I didn't realize how big of an organization, like all the logistics that go into.
Yeah, we'll be a team of about 50 people. That's the riders and the support staff, and you know, and that couldn't be possible without, you know, the fire departments and police and EMS agencies that
the escorting and all that too. Yeah,
escort us and that allow us to use their vehicles and things like that.
Cool deal, man. So what kind of bike you riding?
So I'm gonna be riding.
This is not a promotion, by the way.
I have a giant Defy.
Cool.
You know, it's a full carbon road bike. Everybody that'll be riding will be riding a road bike. You know, that's we'll be riding on the roads of Kentucky, across the state.
Yeah. So you kind of know where we're getting ready to go. A little bit of hard discussion, sure. But tell us about why it's so important here in Kentucky.
Each year, you know, in years past, you know, there's a wall in Frankfort. There's a memorial in Richmond. There's just recently built beside the firefighter one in Frankfort, an EMS one that encompasses what we do. And there's a few that, you know, that might not be on a wall because we recognize them, but there may not be a memorial yet for them.
Right.
But I'm talking about the memorials. You know, there's a firefighter one in Frankfort, EMS in Frankfort, Jupiter Hills Park. If you go to the Department of Criminal Justice Training in Richmond, you'll see, and those are listed of the names that, you know, have given the ultimate sacrifice in their respective fields of service to the community.
So here's what we're going to get to that kind of stinks to talk about, but like we need to. It's important. Sure. So like, tell the people here about why it's so important here in Campbellsville, Kentucky.
Yeah. So each one of our riders that ride have their own individual why. Mm-hmm. Why they do it. Some of them ride for the idea of line of duty death,
right? And
unfortunately, most of us that we have a name with that why, a personal name. You know, for about 6 years, I worked with the my why. You know, on a daily basis. Captain Tony Grider.
That's right.
And Captain Grider was killed in a public service event. It wasn't a fire, wasn't a vehicle accident, wasn't, you know, a heart attack. It was just hey, can the fire department come out and help us do this?
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, in 99% of the American Fire Service, that's what we do. You know, right, you call, we come, and that's what happened. And unfortunately, you know, it resulted in injuries that took his life. Right. And our department ladder truck, he was in the bucket, and it came close enough to be within the buffer zone to make contact with high voltage power lines. Yeah. He and four there's 4 firefighters that were injured. Obviously, he was the only one that actually took his life. Yeah. You know, it's a very tragic day. This happened in August 21st, 2014. Just like any other day, like I said, and went to do what we always do, and you know, you can do everything right, and still get killed on this job, and that's ultimately what happened with Tony.
You know, one thing we try to do at Five Stone is try to raise awareness for the unseen scars and the unseen struggles and stuff that us as first responders and frontline workers and all that we have. Like, there is no VA for frontline workers. There's nothing. We don't have that, right? We may have an EAP that'll say, hey, here's a few, you know, days of a counselor you can speak to. The counselor's probably never even been in the shoes that we've been in. Sure. So it's kind of hard to get somebody to relate. Mm-hmm. So, you know, what what a lot of people here have had to witness and had to been through in the struggle over all these years since then is still so hard to even deal with, you know, and it continues on. But like it's in a small community like this, it really impacts your works because we know, you know, Oris and Shirley and the kids and the boys, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's so personal for all of us, you know, it means a whole lot more. So,
well, when you're in a department the size of ours, you know, we're a 60-member department, and that's counting our volunteer staff and the career staff. You know, it's pretty much no secret, but you pretty much know, oh, well, they're at church or they eat out with their mom and dad on this. Like, you know, every move they make because we're pretty much a family. So like you said, when something like this happens, it really hits home. For everybody involved.
You know, I was training with some former Green Berets down in Tennessee one time, and one of them came to me, and I was talking about how tight they were, like their training group. And I said, you know, it just amazes me because each one of you all have your own training organization, but you all come together to help each other. I said, you're just such a tight brotherhood. It's like kind of like what we see in like, you know, first responder community. And he was like, it's called a trauma bond. And I was like, I never heard the term. Then I'm like, what do you mean it's a trauma bond? He goes, anytime you go through anything difficult together as a team or a unit or whatever, he said, you develop what's called a trauma bond. He said, we've been in war, been on the front lines. He said, in some situations where we've saved each other's lives, we've had each other's back. He said, we've seen brothers hurt, killed, whatever. And he said, and you create a trauma bond. He said, something as simple as me and you moving these targets today. We had this big steel heavy targets I was helping him move. He said, we created a trauma bond. We were burning up, sweating, hot, miserable, lifting this heavy stuff, and now we're connected, and now we're having this conversation. And he said, so you create a trauma bond through everything that you do. So I think that's important because on the fire service, on law enforcement, and dispatch is overlooked like crazy because they're on the receiving end of horrible phone calls, and they don't know how they end, and they hear people's last words all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
that's very true. And, you know, that's one of the things that we do as an organization. You know, several of the names that are on our website that are going to be honored this year's ride. You know, we have some correctional officers. A lot of folks, you know, discount them. You know,
I've been one. It's awful.
It's very tough job. You know, I've never done it, but you know, they're dealing with the folks. You know, from minor infraction to you know high counts of felony or murder or whatever. You know, and they got to deal with those folks on it every day, and those people have nothing but time to counteract what you do and try to, you know. So you know, we thought it was very important to honor them. Not necessarily this year, as far as a line of duty death, but we'll be stopping by the University of Kentucky Police Department. They've had 2 K-9 officers that passed away, obviously off duty, and next year we're going to have 2 line of duty K-9s that, you know, were killed both by gunfire.
That's super important, man.
So you know, we try to hit those. You know, back to the dispatch. That, you know, we try to hit all of those veins that folks, you know, that are missed, you know, sometimes because they're not in the forefront.
Yeah. If you all look at the screen now, if you're listening to an audio podcast, you can go to the YouTube channel, check this out. But so if you look at the screen right now, you'll see the Kentucky Brotherhood website. It's KentuckyBrotherhood.org, O-R-G. And you can see on my picture, I kind of got the mouse over here, all these people riding together. That's a version of a trauma bond. It don't have to be just in service like we talked about, you know. It is you all suffering together, doing it for a cause creates that bond. No more than what I was able to do with Special Ops Rescue. You know, I created one with you guys, got to do this stuff, and it's just something that you can't really.
So one of the things we tell our riders each year is, you know, you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
So that's good.
That's what you know, and that's what's represented there on that.
Oh, that's deep. I like that, man. Yeah, that is very deep.
So that's what we tell everybody and we've had folks that have rode that they good cyclists, and they're responders, but they you know, it isn't for them. You know,
right,
how we conduct ourselves. You know, it may not fit for them. So you know, the group we have this year is I'm fairly certain when I say this is all returning riders. So you know, we do have a couple of ones. I'm wrong on that.
No, that's awesome, man. So if y'all go to the KentuckyBrotherhood.org website, you can see on here upcoming events they have. They got, you know, other rides that have happened throughout the year.
Yeah, I want to stop there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see there in the middle of the screen the Jason Ellis Memorial Ride. I want to go back to how Kentucky the Kentucky Brotherhood was formed. So, like I said, the original ride in Florida, off of the Charleston 9. One of our board members, Chief JT Bass, now, as he just recently retired from the City of Louisville Fire Department and moved back home to South Carolina. He and a couple of people were able to go and do the Carolina ride. He knew some of the Charleston 9 personally. Obviously at that time he was serving back here in Kentucky, but he had worked for the Charleston Fire Department before he came to the city of Louisville, and knew several of those. So he and a couple, it's kind of a, let's write this down on a napkin idea and go in force. But many of you know the story of the tragic death of Officer Jason Ellis for the Bardstown Police Department. And we always like to say it like this: there's a coward out there that in the middle of the night on the side of the road took this officer's life, and he's still out there, and they're going to answer for what they've done. And we stopped there last year, exit 34 off the Bluegrass Parkway, and you
had a whole ceremony right there, didn't you? That's what Blake was telling me.
And someone they don't know has came and painted "Never Forget 139" in like 8-foot letters.
Oh wow!
So if you get off that exit right where and if you stop there, that he got out, and there's a large rock wall to your left and to your right, and that the coward that did this is just right up there in the bushes, and it's a pretty somber place. But in wake of that, and obviously some other near and dear folks to many people's hearts, and not just but he was kind of a catalyst. If you'll see our jerseys, 139 is on there. And that's kind of a catalyst to Kentucky's start to the Brotherhood Ride concept.
Man, that's crazy. And it seems like there was so much that happened kind of all together. And then this year you've got everything over in Floyd County. It's just what is going on?
Yeah. So yeah. And we can go ahead and get into the route if you want to.
Yeah, we can do that. I do want to tell people right here, you can go here, you can get some information on the 22 ride, why they do it, some donation options right there that you can donate through. And anyway, so you can just scroll on down and kind of see what
many of our partners there that, Five Stone, one of them, and some of these other groups that are similar to us. Yeah. You'll see their logos on our jerseys because they share in the fight, the trauma bond with us in their respective, missions. So
why don't you tell them, I'll kind of switch the screen over. Why don't you tell them about the course, the path that you all are starting, where you're going through, in case somebody wants to follow. How do they follow where you all are at?
So obviously the best place to get real-time information for us is going to be our Facebook Lives. We'll do those periodically throughout the ride, and kind of let folks know where we're at and what we're doing. So this year, and every year, the route is dictated by the line of duty deaths. Last year we had 12 that we honored. This year we have 28.
Wow. We
thought 12 was an astronomical number that we would never see again. So 28 is hard to get to. Mm-hmm. We have honorees in Bell County this year, and we have them in Callaway County. If you know anything about Kentucky, one end to the other, and that's all the way from the flatlands of western Kentucky to the hills of eastern Kentucky and Appalachia. It was nearly impossible for us to, in 4 days, honor 28 by going to their hometown. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to go to each hometown of each fallen person yet.
Right.
And we got some plans next year. Obviously, you already mentioned Floyd County. This year, that just happened a couple of weeks ago. We actually have a Floyd County officer that passed away of duty-related illness would have been honored this year if we could have gotten there. So we'll have we're definitely going to Eastern Kentucky next year.
That's going to be a rough ride.
I'm doing support. I drew the short straw next year. No, but
Appalachia, man.
Yeah. So that's what we'll be doing there. But this year we're going to be leaving Georgetown, Kentucky on July 20th. This coming Wednesday. That's crazy to say.
Yeah, that's right here.
I've been thinking about it being way out. So
that's 2 days.
Yeah. So we're leaving Georgetown College, and we'll be traveling to Henderson, Kentucky, which is just west of Owensboro.
Yeah.
We'll be shy of 400 miles when we get there.
That's insane.
And we try to do between 80 and 100 miles a day. This year it's going to be in the 80 to 90 mark.
And let's reiterate that they're not riding motorcycles.
No motorcycles. I'm the horsepower.
Yeah.
One thing, going back to the cycling, that's a big deal when it comes to cycling is 100 miles. 100 miles on a bicycle, a century ride.
My goodness gracious.
We got a special guest here.
It's kind of cool. It'd be all right.
So, we try to get one day where if we have a new rider that can get 100 consecutive miles, so we get that century in.
Yeah.
But we may not get to that this year, and that's okay. We'll be. I can't quote how many number I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I want to say it's 12 to 16 of the 28 that we're actually going to see their families. And one of the other cool things that we do is, we always tell the family members, we're so sad that we have to meet on these terms.
Yeah.
But we're so glad to know you. And you're part of our family from now on. And
they're joining the trauma bond, man. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
And so we've got family members from years past that have been with us. They have came every year. Because we may have honored their family on the first year, or the second year, or last year, what have you. So when they find out, hey, we're coming, they're like that soccer mom. They're going to be there,
absolutely,
no matter what. So
cool,
it's really cool. Each of the riders, we try to, if they have a person that they've got a personal connection to a line of duty death, obviously they're going to handle that. But we reach out to these families, and I've talked to 3 different widows for this year's ride that I'll be introducing and talking about. And they're so excited, they're so proud of what their fathers and husbands have done, and it's going to be exciting
that's
as
awesome.
We go on that journey.
Yeah. Well, why don't we pull up a list of I do want to take a minute just to kind of highlight one particular officer here real quick if we can. And this is Daniel Ellis, end of watch was 2015, November 6th. He's actually a family friend of ours. This is a different.
Had family ties here to Campbellsville as well.
Yeah, so he's a different Ellis. A lot of people kind of get those confused. I'm not taking away from Jason Ellis, but Daniel Ellis too. So actually, my father and his grandfather were like best friends. My dad was from Nova Scotia, Canada, and they met his grandfather in New York, and Dad moved down here. So it's kind of a cool story how we all met. But these are some of the best people. So I do want to kind of highlight.
Yeah, there again, that's another tie to Campbellsville. That helped push me to do this. I'm not your typical cyclist. But
that's a beautiful thing about it, man. Like people do it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy for some kind of Olympic athlete, but for your average everyday person who
and that's none of the folks that are riding are Olympic athletes. They're firefighters.
And that's what makes it that much more awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back here and look at the honorees real quick so people can kind of see. And we're not going to try to list all these off, but do want to take a minute just for you all to be able to just to check this out and look at some of the names here.
There's a couple ones that number 2 name there, Major Gary Key. You could actually take the major away and put interim chief. He was serving in the interim chief capacity after the chief of Zonton passed away from COVID, which was an honoree from last year's ride. If you were to switch to 2021, he was serving in the interim capacity after their chief passed away. And then, I mean, imagine being an organization that's a predominantly heavy volunteer family like department in Bullitt County, and your chief dies, and then the guy that's supposed to lead the charge after that, he dies from the same thing.
Crazy.
So COVID is taking a lot of these names. If you'll scroll down there, there's a couple I just want to highlight. I'm not trying to take away from anybody.
No, you're fine.
Deputy Brandon Shirley, another coward. He's doing night watch at a car lot. And someone took his life. It's crazy to think about the stories of each one of these men's named. No females this year that in line of duty death. All men, and
there was last year, wasn't there? Or the year before, the female officer up in Louisville.
Yes. There's and if back on the there's several females that we've honored in years past.
But these are the names. If you sit back and you just really take a minute and just read these names to yourself, it's really kind of humbling to see there's that many people. You know what I'm saying? This is from the previous year, so this coming up here, damn it, with Floyd County, it's going to be much more.
I want to say we're 15 or 16 for next year already.
Already, that's crazy.
And then we're going to add in the Eastern Kentucky names from this year. We're going to be, and there'll be names next year that we probably won't get to because geographically they may be. I want to say there's one in Ohio County next year. Yeah.
And it's not just the fact of they're doing this just to raise awareness, which you are, but you're raising money for the families. That's what's so cool. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing it to be like, hey, look at us. We're doing this. It's not. It's all about a way to people to be able to donate to you guys so you can give to the families of these fallen frontline workers.
At the end of the game, that's what we're there for. We're looking for people to sponsor us. Whatever you can sponsor with, I got a truckload of water I've got to take up tomorrow when we go up to get set up. As simple as water. 5 Stone gonna lead the caffeine charge there in the morning.
Keep you caffeinated with our coffee.
So there's all kinds of little intricate parts that keeps us going, and we're pretty excited about it.
We were set up down at a gun competition in Western Kentucky the other day, raising awareness for what we did, and the EMS come up and I gave them, coffee. I usually do whoever's on duty, I'll, give them coffee or whatever. And I gave them coffee and I told them kind of what we did. And it was crazy because somebody within EMS, this was 2-3 weeks later, had a really horrible run. I'm not going to talk about it, but a really, really bad run, and had some other things going on. And they reached out to us to be able to have somebody to talk to. Sure. And that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, I'm not trying to take away from you all, but I'm saying, like, it's everywhere. Well, the suffering and the struggling is all over the place. And that's the way we can help.
There's many people that are going to be riders here that can tell you, and they can attest to it, even in the other groups. That, this saved their life because of what they had been through. Yeah. This give them an out. I know me personally, this give me something that wasn't the fire department, but it was, and it give me something to excel my health. And and when you get there, and like I said, when we're going together, the bond that the guy riding next to you may be a stud and can ride 22 miles an hour, and here I am at 9 trying to climb this big old hill, and they reach out and put, there's a picture.
I've seen that.
And that gentleman was from Florida, and the first stop they put me with him, and they're like, this guy's name's Jack, and he's gonna ride with you. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm already getting
help.
I've got a tail already, and he reached out and he said, if you feel me touching your back, you need to pedal faster or click up a gear or whatever. And in about 20 minutes, he had me. I always tell everybody it's like Forrest Gump when his braces came off his legs. Like, he helped me figure out where I needed to be, and the rest of the first ride, I had never rode over 30 miles, and the first Brotherhood ride we did 132 miles in one day, and got through every mile of it. So.
That's crazy. And even us riding together, training together, like I ride and I'd be like, man, I'd be laid up on the side of the road cramping and nodding up, and you're like, hey man, we're not doing it for you, we're doing it for Tony. Let's go. And just that kind of a push is worth it. But anyway, guys, one more time, let's go back over here and show you all the website, KentuckyBrotherhood.org. Check that out. guys really, really, really support these guys. They're doing really good things, difficult things, struggling together, having trauma bonds together to be able to support the families of fallen frontline workers here in Kentucky and really multiple areas across the country. So that is it. Brent, anything else before we go, man?
No, appreciate you. If like I said, if you want to get out, catch us on the ride. Somewhere, some of the big cities are going to be hitting, or not necessarily big cities, but Lawrenceburg, Shepherdsville, West Point, Cloverport, going all the way over to Henderson, Owensboro, you can catch us. We'll be moving 15 miles an hour, so it won't be hard to catch us.
on Facebook Live.
Facebook Live, we'll have some Facebook Lives.
And they just search for Kentucky Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll find us on there, and like I said, make sure if you get to the website, the big red donate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Click on that, and when you do that, think about a widow that her husband was the breadwinner. And think about the car she's driving, the house she's living in. Like 6 months, a year ago, some of these people have not. As little as less than 6 months. If somebody died in January or in December, we haven't got to a year yet. And life is still extremely difficult and different for these folks. So just think about that, and think about what it takes you to live, and
especially now with how hard times are.
Sure. So, and we understand it's hard on everybody, but and I'll leave you with this, and this is what Chief Bass always tells us. The pain we feel will go away. Your legs, the pain will go away. A couple days, you're cramping, whatever, it's going to go away. The pain these people feel will never go away. So
well, it's tough to hear.
I'll leave you on that.
Whew. And you can go. What was it? You can go. You can go fat.
No,
what is
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Dude, that is amazing. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Check it out. KentuckyBrotherhood.org. Brent Lile, thanks for coming on the show, brother.
Thanks.
We'll catch you all later. We're out.